This is Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff.
Ka-chow.
On a March Madness episode. Get excited.
So, is there no Sam?
She's upstairs.
Oh, okay. You already sent her away.
She sent herself away.
Interesting.
Nate sequestered her. So, today is Tuesday, March 18th, and WVU got screwed.
Thank you for reading the appropriate title to this episode.
What, the PG version?
What?
The PG version?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that was a little PG. I'm sure Alex will have more emotional responses as we get a little bit more into that shortly. But as we said, the March Madness is about to be fully upon us as we have playing games starting today. The crew is excited, I think. I know I am. I think Alex is overall excited, but just a little upset at the moment.
Yeah, I'm excited for the rest of it, but I'm still pissed off.
Nate, are you excited?
I usually get more into it as the games get going.
Okay. Jim, I'm not sure if you're excited, but are you anticipating anything about basketball on TV?
Yeah, I lose Noah for 2 days. That's what I'm anticipating.
So Noah has decided, former guest on the Sports Stuff, Betting Stuff podcast, Noah has taken some time off to...
Yeah, I lose him for 2 days.
Now, given you're in FIFO land, he actually go down to Dayton to the first four?
No, he's going to go to a casino like you guys. And he's going to sit there and bet on games.
I'm not judging him. B, like, what happens when people go on vacation, Jim?
That's unacceptable. Workers work.
Do you pay him for his unused vacation days at the end of the year?
I make sure he gets them in. But hell of a time for him to go right now. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Speaking of the March Madness, there is still time to get involved in our bracket challenges for both the men's and women's tournaments. Both sides of that.
When's the latest we can get those in, Muff?
End of the day Wednesday,
Okay.
I believe. Yeah,
Yeah,
the playing games are not part of our, like, what we do, right? It's the winner of that game is who you choose from.
Yeah, so basically it's like, what, before tip-off of the first game on Thursday?
Yeah, you might have till Thursday morning. I forget what it's set at. I didn't change any of the settings, so we'll just say to stay safe, Wednesday night.
Gotcha.
Everyone can get up to 3 brackets in each, so 3 men's and 3 women's brackets. It is a free entry and free prizes.
Prizes.
I'm thinking definitely hats. Maybe we'll work with...
if you have a small head.
The Guru of Glitter, Sam. Jim, I'm sorry. We can't help that you have a large head. You can put in a special order with Sam.
I might have to.
You can sign up through ESPN by visiting the link in our bio through the link tree for each. You can go to each of them. There are separate links. We've also had some posts over the past couple days where you can get into the comments, grab the link. Again, get in there. We've got about 30 in the men's, about 25 in the women's thus far. So,
really?
Yeah.
Dang. When I signed up, there was only 2 of us, so
yeah,
a lot of traction on that.
We got some people. We got it on all the socials. We're gonna have some additional promotion. Probably gonna have some video promotion as well. So there's still time to not only get involved with our bracket challenges, but also to consider coming with Alex, Nate, and I to the Wheeling Casino.
Woo!
On Thursday, starting at around noon. I'm not going to give us a hard noon time. We'll say around noon. We're going to be near the sportsbook area. We'll be there for much of the day to watch the games, bet, and have a grand old time. We're calling it a watch party. Wheeling Island does not know that we're calling it a watch party. So, what are they going to be upset about? More people there to gamble money and promote the gambling and sportsbook in the area. We'll say it's an informal partnership.
Okay.
I think we weren't in trouble until you just said it was an informal partnership.
Yeah, it's informal. It's not formal, so informal means we know about it, they might know about it, we're in.
Fair enough. It's
Well,
an
good and it's
unauthorized
informal. You
autobiography.
don't have to dress up. Got it.
What was that, Nate?
And it's informal, so you don't have to dress up.
There you go. Yeah, you can wear a tuxedo t-shirt, you can wear a suit, you can come in your best sweats. Do whatever you got to do. We hope-
Honestly, I think the trouble will come if you start handing out merch. Like,
yeah, there's no intention to hand out merch.
right. So if you're looking to get sports stuff, go to the parking lot.
Wow.
No,
We're still on their
Jim,
property, Jim. I don't think we can do it there either.
Well,
No, Jim, if they want merch, they got to enter the bracket competition.
There we
Right.
go.
or go to Godfathers after, where Nate will be making special guest appearances.
On the pole.
Special
On the
elixirs, special sauces, and all of the merch will be at Godfather's after the fact, where apparently Nate will be. So
We'll be
Wait,
signing
Nate.
autographs at Godfathers.
there we go. So we hope everyone, all our loyal listeners that are in the area, will consider attending again Wheeling Island Casino on
The
Thursday.
shit of that is that, like, what if there's like 4 people at Godfathers waiting on Nate? And like we get
don't let me
spammed. What in the comments? I was here for Nate. He wasn't at Godfathers. You guys suck.
Well, there's more than one location. Maybe I'll visit the other one.
Oh, it's the one near the casino. That's what we got.
Yeah,
you
it's right outside a high school sports venue.
everything about that situation on the island is
Terrible.
Now we've
neat.
opened up a window for people to use it as an excuse. So, honey, I looked at your location, said you were Godfathers. Yeah, I was just picking
I
up
went to see.
some merchandise. See, it was on the
Oh, my
podcast.
guy Nate.
I wasn't there for any reason other than to meet Nate, honey.
You're welcome to everybody that's looking to go there and use that as an excuse. So, there we go. We just gave everybody the out. As always, thanks to everybody that's interacting with our content on the socials, at Sports Jim Muff on Instagram and Twitter, Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff on Facebook, on YouTube. Subscribe, comment, rate, review, poke, like, tickle.
Get the bell on.
Ding ding.
Get that bell on. And I was in the lab throughout most of last week, and we've definitely substantially improved our presence as far as views, most notably on YouTube. We've picked
Getting
up
the Tubi.
we've picked out a handful of new subscribers on YouTube this week.
Oh my.
So let's continue that. I'll continue to go into lab and get some stuff done.
My
Any new
father-in-law hit us up. He's like, "Where can I see you?" I said, "On the YouTube." Shout out Greggy.
Make sure that he hits the bell.
Ding ding.
You
If
still
he
not
doesn't, then I question his love and loyalty to his daughter and the family that is. You heard that right,
Shots
Greg.
fired.
You heard that right. Questioned. Loyalty questioned.
Yep.
So, there we go. Before we get into... We're not even going to do the lead off. We're going to get right into March Madness. But before we do that, congratulations to West Liberty University wrestler Ty McGeary, a now 3-time national champion at 184 pounds, winning in dominant fashion last Saturday by way of technical fall to become the first-time 3-time national champion in program history and first 4-time All-American.
That's a senior, right?
That's pretty
Yeah.
But like a true senior, redshirt senior. What we saying?
There's a red shirt in there, I believe.
So is he done?
Yes,
Yeah.
he's done.
Got it. No COVID year, none of that, right?
I believe this year was the last year for the COVID situation, but I think he had a true red shirt in that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Not like a COVID red shirt, but like a true red shirt.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Awesome. Do we know what his wrestling future is?
I do not know if there is a wrestling future. I think he's definitely committed to be part of like some camps
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that, which he had been in the past anyway.
Yeah.
But he may just continue that. I don't know if he has any aspirations to continue wrestling.
Awesome. Awesome.
Also from West Liberty, 141 pounder Kyvon Grace came up just short, losing by 1 point in his national championship bout. Nonetheless, a solid showing by McGeary, Grace, and the Hilltoppers, as we, as a podcast, have supported and anticipate continue supporting them through their golf event. Hopefully we'll get a team in for this upcoming summer.
Grace, what year is he?
This was his second year. So two-time All-American. I believe he finished 7th last year, 2nd this year.
Dang. I mean, that's awesome. West Liberty's program, man. No joke. No joke.
No joke. They had three go to nationals. One was 2 and out, and then those two. So next year, hoping to get 5+. 5+
Good
to
for them.
nationals. All right, let's jump right into this deep water here. The March Madness. There's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of anger. There's potentially a lot of frustration, especially by some people on this podcast. So we are not going to bury the lead within the lead off today. We're going to get right into it. It'll be the main story for weeks to come. The NCAA Division I Basketball Championships. We're going to focus pretty much all of our attention today on the men's bracket, but feel free at any point to chat about the women's bracket. But before we do that,
Uh-oh.
Alex?
I've got a lot to say.
Well, here, before you get into this,
He's
let's
holding you
talk
back.
about some Division II basketball action that you took in over the weekend.
Oh, yeah. So the West Liberty Hilltoppers are hosting the Atlantic region of the Division II men's basketball tournament, where they have made it to the Sweet 16. So, today, if you're listening, we'll get to take in action on the Hilltop as they take on the number 2 in the region, Gannon, for a chance at a berth to the Elite 8. The first game started off with some questionable officiating. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I'm saying it. It was bad. Didn't seem like they knew the rules to the game. That was a lot for me to take in. There was almost a parent fight. Thankfully, that got settled out. Yesterday, I really didn't think the officials were that bad, but God, there was this guy behind me who was not happy, and by the end of the game, it starting to wear on me a little bit. I'm like, all right, man, these are, gotta let some of it go. But that first night was actually kind of frustrating as a West Liberty fan, because I felt like honestly, it wasn't even so much like that. I felt like we were being like it was, they didn't, we're messing up rules to the game. Like, they blew the
And
whistle.
it was not necessarily biased or one-sided.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm not blaming that. The reason it was a close game, in my opinion, was because the guy we were playing played for West Liberty. And West Liberty has a very specific game plan, I feel like, every year. And my take on it was that Bluefield State kind of knew the blueprint and came very ready and prepared to play against that blueprint. So they hung in the whole
you
game.
do know that Bluefield State's head coach is a former West Liberty player.
That's what I just said.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear that part.
See, calm down. Calm down over there.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying. So that's what I really think led to the close game. I don't think it was the officials necessarily, but it was still frustrating as a basketball fan to watch how bad it was. I mean, the backcourt violation, and then because the fans yelled, he thought about it and was like, oh yeah, you're right, that's not backcourt. And then he was like, sorry, and just gives the ball back. At one point, I'm still confused. There was a foul on the floor, and then the other team was shooting 2 shots. So all of a sudden they were not up 2, but they got 2 points from 2 foul shots. And no one I've spoken to can explain what happened. It was just weird. Just a couple blatantly egregious calls, and the show became how bad the officials were, not the game itself. And it was actually a good game. So, but last night's was better. We got through it.
To the regional championship. And to clarify, when Alex said there was a parent fight, it was not between necessarily 2 parents in the stands. It was a spectator who later found out is a parent and another team's player.
True.
And by fight, we mean a verbal altercation.
Also true.
Nothing physical. But
Muff always calms down the fun.
He does, doesn't he?
I was nowhere near the fun on this one. In fact, Alex was closer to this than I was. I was in an official capacity as part of the game operations staff, but was nowhere near any of this. My goal was to greet the teams as they came in, make sure they had what they needed, say goodbye on their way out, and guard the sports information directors and other media to make sure that nobody got into their workstations.
Yeah, so there was a special rule that we weren't supposed to loiter. But I didn't. I was really well behaved, but boy, if I wasn't tempted to go try to break into some area where Muff was supposed to be guarding, and then be like, oh, look, not doing his job. What I really wanted was, so there were people that went out and they mopped like the sweat and stuff under the hoop. And all I could think was, oh my gosh, if Muff would have gotten assigned that job, every time he came out with that little mop thing, I would have made a scene. He said that would be funny for everybody except for me. Was Muff's response to that.
Indeed it was. So yeah, that was my role. I'll be doing it again for the regional final. I will say the least exciting part of all of that is the fact that I'm usually one of the last people that the teams see before they leave, especially the losing teams. So, not the best part of the situation, but made some good connections. So, good to go. All right, Alex, you ready?
Yeah.
Are you amped up? Or
I feel like you were trying to distract
up?
me by talking about like the successes that one of my team like is having, and you were like trying to bring me down a notch, and I'm not falling for it.
Okay. So we're getting into now the men's Division I basketball championships, starting out with the biggest snubs. So we have Indiana, Boise State, UC Irvine, Ohio State were 4 of the top 5 snubs, according to most of the articles that I read. But overwhelmingly, the biggest snub was the Mountaineers of West Virginia University, who may have been able to resolve this, Alex, if they just could have beat Colorado in the Big 12 tournament.
Yes.
So I'm going to let you take this away, Alex. Speak your piece.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Tell us why you're upset.
So,
give us some good reasons.
I will.
And tell us why you hate Bubba.
Like I said before, numbers don't lie, ADs do. Here's the thing. My initial gut reaction, Saturday morning, one of my friends said the day before, do you think WVU is going to make the tournament? And I said, I don't know. I said, I think they're on the bubble, and I think that if we'd have beat Colorado, my answer would have been definitively yes. I said, I think it puts a bad taste in the people's mouths over that. But then you look at the stats, and you're like, yes, they have to make it. They have enough quad 1 wins. 111 out of 111 bracketologists felt that they should be in the tournament. 111 people. There are very few things in this world where if you ask 111 people, they are all going to agree on it. They are the first team ever to unanimously have been predicted to be in the tournament and not be in the tournament. They have more quad 1 wins than UNC. They have 0 quad 3 or quad 4 losses. UNC can't say that. There were 2 random stats that I'm reading this article and they're like, blah, blah, blah. Well, these are 2 new statistics that they added in while they're trying to pick it. And I can't find the freaking article again, of course. And I'd never heard of the things. It's like TWG and something else. And then at the end, they mention they're like, WVU ranked higher than UNC in both of those. And I'm like, tell me where. So the best excuse they got is that Tucker DeVry's hurt. He hasn't played in months. They've had 3 quad 1 wins without him. So that's not a good enough excuse for me. And people were like, well, it's almost like Florida State. I'm like, no, it's not. Florida State was undefeated and then lost their quarterback. They had no proven time without that player. I mean, it's Javon Small. He's just garbage. Like, I can't wrap my brain around where these people got off saying that UNC deserved to be in over WVU. And it's not just me. It's not like I'm just a crazy WVU fan coming out here. I have talked to nobody, WVU fan, not WVU fan, who doesn't say, yeah, they got snubbed. Like, it is wild to me.
Is this egregious?
Egregious. Absolutely egregious.
100 years.
I mean, so on top of all this, so you have UNC's athletic director, who is the chair of this 12-person selection committee, and he promises that he stepped out of the room when they talked about UNC. Yeah, well, they had to talk about a lot of other teams other than just specifically that one UNC time. So what were you saying during those meetings? And did it ever come up in the conversation that you got a $104,000 bonus if your team made it to the NCAA tournament? Because it all kind of smells like shit. And usually if it walks like shit, talks like shit, and smells like shit, it's shit.
It's just like a wings and string situation.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope that Bubba puts something on his butt without wings or strings and has to go get it taken out.
Are you gonna be the one to do it?
No, I'm leaving it up there for him to suffer.
All right, so real quick, we'll give Alex a second. A second. I'll give you a second, Alex. A major media contributor for the NCAA tournament, specifically the men's, John Rothstein, shared, and I quote, "This is one of the biggest miscarriages of justice that I have seen in nearly 20 years covering college basketball on the national level." So from the national media, there's also this outcry. So, Alex.
Like I said, say what you want. This isn't WVU homers being mad they didn't make the tournament. I know. I'm the first one to say we lost games we should have won, and maybe we wouldn't be on this bubble. We would have been solidly in, but we still got snubbed, and it's still bullshit.
Alex, so I, as a North Carolina fan, appreciate this act of kindness and the fact that WVU volunteered to distribute so that North Carolina could be in the tournament and I can, watch some postseason
Yeah, Muff's
basketball. with
bullshit
Dario.
answer to me today. I respect the committee's decision. Fuck off, Muff.
I do.
So,
I do respect their
You're
decision.
upset. I just want to make sure we're clear. You're upset because your team didn't make it out of 25 teams that you're upset they're 26?
There's 68 teams in the field, Jim.
Oh, so there's 69?
Alex, that day, I think that should be something you're excited about. Your team is number 69.
You're upset they couldn't make it.
Any other
they
year I
couldn't
would
make
be,
it
but this is
68.
ridiculous.
They couldn't make it to number 60. They were robbed because they couldn't be the 68th best team.
Yeah,
All right.
because think about the experience for these student athletes that you've taken away from them that they've earned. Think about the money and the financial benefit of
They
making
haven't
the
earned it,
tournament.
Alex. They would be, if they earned it, they'd be
They
in.
earned it. They'd be 68.
Don't, Jim. Don't, Jim. Don't. You're gonna come at me with.
I
some
mean,
bullshit, and
Ohio
I
State
have
was on that
hard-
bubble too, Jim.
You don't hear me bitching.
That's because they weren't,
Because it's not football.
and it's not the same.
Where's your fever and passion for the fact WVU women are
That's
in?
great. They're where they deserve to be. I'm fighting for the people that aren't getting justice right now.
Yeah,
Not
number
only is
69.
Alex fighting, but also the governor of West Virginia is fighting.
Which
as well.
I agree is I think that's a little bit ridiculous. I'm the first to say that's a little too far. But I
Where's
don't
the passion for the WVU women?
What?
Where is the passion
Jim,
for the WVU
unlike
women?
you WVU women, that we support them all the time. WVU
I've not
women's
heard you once say, great
Oh
job,
my God.
congratulations.
Well,
We-
Jim,
we're
let me
fixing-
finish talking about maybe what I'm talking about, and then we'll get there. Don't stab me!
It's not even in the
Madness,
notes.
people. March Madness.
This is the madness.
You know what? No, because WVU fans, I mean, I get it. Like, I get it. We shoot ourselves in the foot a lot, but it's really fucking hard to be a WVU fan. And you push through and you push through. We've been through a million coaches. We've got 11 new players on the team, and you get right there on the bubble, and you have 111 people, 111 experts look you in the face and say, you're good. Just for this other school, and their freaking backdoor deal making mother effing Bubba come in and ruin the fucking March Madness tournament for you. I mean, this bullshit. This bullshit.
Unless you're rooting for the women's team, then nothing's ruined.
Jim, we're not talking about women's basketball right now. We've made that
That's the
clear.
problem.
Top of the
We don't
show, we
talk
said
about
we're
the
focused on the men's tournament today.
So we're focusing on March Madness.
No.
No,
No,
I did
roll
say,
the
I
tape
did say
back.
this. I did say this is going to be
Oh.
a heavy lean towards the men. And if anybody has anything to say about the women's tournament, feel free to chime in.
I'm chiming
So,
in. Maybe you should
were
chime in.
chiming.
Now the
you were
appropriate time to
chiming
chime in? No.
Maybe you should chime in. Maybe you should look on the bright side.
That is. I'm sorry, no one from Ohio State gets to tell me to look on the bright side. Mr. Sky is falling, mother effers.
Ohio State's women are in.
Yeah, that's great. Congratulations. West Virginia, we're good. I get it.
Then yeah, you're good.
No, it's. Look, if WVU would have sucked, lost every game, not been on the bubble, been significantly out of it, or been on the bubble and only had like half the people say they might get in, I'd be like, you know what? Okay. All right. Like, we didn't make it. 111 people. If 111 people said, that Ohio State's football team should be in the Final Four in the
It's
college.
not the Final Four. We're talking about the final 69 teams.
And 111 people said that it was right. There were like 27 people who thought that UNC should be in there. Now, what happened between all of that extra people to change their mind? With no new information. Just overnight, we decided to change our mind. Bullshit.
Right, so
that's what happened.
Maybe
Bullshit.
we just need to dive into that. What do you exactly think transpired?
I think Bubba Baker's got people...
Bubba Cunningham, got it.
Bubba Cunningham, sorry. I was thinking like Buda Baker, I think.
You were.
So Bubba Cunningham has people in his back pocket. He knew he was going to get a $104,000 bonus. He's the chairman of the committee, and all of a sudden it's his team that makes that jump. If I'm him, I'm saying don't do it because it's going to make me look bad.
You think he was involved in the decision making?
100%.
He didn't recuse himself?
No, I even if he recused, my point is, so you come down to it, he would have had to have recused himself for the entire bottom half of the conversation, because when you're making the bracket, you don't just get to it and you're like North Carolina in or out. You're looking at this thing as a whole. So it's not like he can be like, I'll step out maybe while they vote, but did you step out while they were talking about it? Did you step out while they were talking about WVU? Did you step out while they were talking about Indiana?
He says he did.
He did. No, he said he stepped out when he was talking about North Carolina.
Yeah.
Okay, my point is, so when you're talking about WVU, do you mention North Carolina? And does he say, oh, can't be in here? Doubt it. Did he talk to everyone the night before and call them and be like, hey, look, I'm going to get a $104,000 bonus. You get $10,000 if you say we go in over West Virginia.
So he
no one can
splits his
prove he
bonus
didn't.
just to get him in?
Yeah, no one can prove he didn't. It's pretty dang fishy. And I'm sorry, but John Rothstein knows a lot more about college basketball than anyone.
So you're saying it's rigged?
In this situation, yes. I'm not
Saying
rigged is not the right
this
word.
particular selection is.
I'm not saying rigged as in like the season scripted. I'm saying the decision was.
So aren't we going on a slippery slope? There was
collusion.
Like, if this is rigged, who's to say that it's all not rigged?
There was collusion between Bubba Cunningham
game?
and the other people on that selection committee to get UNC in, and I don't know what the perk is, but there's some kind of perk for them to be like, yeah, we'll go with what Bubba says, because maybe he's saying, hey, when your teams need this, remember, you do this for me, I scratch your back, you scratch mine.
But isn't it a slippery slope when we say that one thing's rigged, but not everything's rigged?
No,
Isn't that
that's
great storyline for everything?
Rigged isn't the word,
outcome,
and that's what I said.
Yeah, the outcome is not rigged. You could say that the selection process is.
I think it was more of a
tainted.
collusion to get a team in.
Why can't it all be rigged? I don't understand. Everybody's got money in the game. Everybody's got
Because
something to gain from it being a win somewhere.
To me, the season played itself out.
I don't believe you can have it one way or the other. Either it's all rigged.
No, I disagree.
Everybody's
with that.
got blood in the game.
Nope, I disagree.
Or it's not rigged.
Okay,
yeah, you disagree because your team.
No. So you have 20. So you have 20 people in the room. 20 people in the room.
All 20 have money and incentive on it.
Okay, that's fine. Two of the guys.
No, that's not necessarily true, Jim. That's not necessarily true.
Two of the guys are in the corner making a deal. The other 18 are sitting there minding their own business, doing the right thing. That whole room's not rigged. There's a collusion going on in the corner.
It takes more than 2 votes to get that.
That was just a freaking example.
You got to figure he's got to buy off a lot of people in that room, right?
Yeah, there's 12 people.
So all 12 got blood in the game.
Sure, because of him. But that doesn't make a difference. I'm not saying you're trying to say that the season is rigged, basically. I don't believe that's true. I think the whole season played itself out until that moment. I think most of the bracket.
I'm trying to point out how ridiculous it sounds that it's rigged for $100,000 for WVU. If we're going to go down that route, the whole thing, because there's more money the higher we go.
It was rigged for UNC, and WVU was collateral damage to that. It wasn't like they paid $100,000 to not let WVU in.
I'm saying if we're rigging it for this one little tiny event,
it's UNC.
What's to stop them from rigging it for it all? Because the higher we get, the more money we're involved.
That's fine, but the other teams aren't questionable. The other
teams if UNC wins the Natty,
which they UNC had the
if they win the Natty, how much money does that man get?
A ton.
So what's to stop him from
I don't know
rigging it
if
all
we
the
know
way
how
out?
much he gets. We do not know how much he gets.
Has no chance at that now.
Hey,
because
stop. I will say the only incentive that we know about is for UNC to get into the tournament.
You're wrong. If he wins the Natty, the school's going to get more money. It's job security. It's continued money down the road.
but you cannot say there's a specific incentive for that.
He's going to get more money if they win the Natty, period. We know that to be true. We've seen it through the experiences of ADs whose schools win the national championship in whatever sport.
So
if we're saying he's willing to rig it so his team gets in, why would he not rig other outcomes?
I don't think that the games themselves are rigged. I think in that room, the situation to get his team into a position where A, he gets his bonus, and B, his team is set up for a chance to play for that national championship is rigged. There can be a line where it
that's
stops.
ridiculous logic for him to stop.
It's not ridiculous logic. You are a pessimist, so you assume that this whole thing is going to be bad.
You're assuming that this man did it for $100,000.
Yeah. I would, I mean, for $100,000, I'd do a lot of shit.
Cut amongst 12 people.
Jim, to be fair, Bubba Cunningham only is the chair of the selection committee, not of the game operations committee or the officials of the selection committee. So once the selection is completed,
sure,
his time is done.
But you're talking about corruption on that scale, and it's just going to stop there. That's the logic we're presenting here.
Right, because the selection committee.
I don't know why we got down this rabbit hole of this.
Because it's a ridiculous premise that he rigged it.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say it's a ridiculous premise.
I'm not going to argue anymore because it's just going to keep coming back in this circle, and I'm going to get like hot-headed about it.
You get mad at me when I say things are rigged.
Because you say every single thing in the world is rigged.
But it's not okay for me to be like, this can't be.
You can say it if you want. That's what I'm saying. I'm done arguing. I've said my piece. You're not going to ever see it my way or hear it my way. I'm pissed off my team got fucked out of being in the tournament. I'm going to continue to be pissed off about my team getting fucked out of the tournament. And I think they got fucked out of the tournament because Bubba Cunningham is a dirty bastard.
Okay, fair.
Rebuttal, Jim?
I can't fight that. If that's his logic, he's mad. That's fine.
He said the same thing that he's been saying for the whole time. He just didn't use the term money. That was it.
I think I've pushed him to a point where I should let him go.
Many are also sharing that Michigan was misseeded as a 5 seed below Wisconsin and Purdue, as the Wolverines beat both of these teams twice this year, won the Big Ten tournament with 11 quad 1 wins, which was fourth best in the country, and no bad losses. So there were other concerns, not necessarily with teams that were in or out, but with the seeding process. Michigan, many are saying, was the most egregious recipient of bad seeding in this particular tournament.
How does that play into the storyline? How does that benefit?
It actually does not benefit Michigan at all. So if we're going to
How
talk
does that
about
benefit
money,
Cunningham?
Well, depending on who they draw in that region, right?
they're in the Florida region, whatever region that is. I believe I'd have to look at it. But misseeded as a 5 seed, they could still be in that same region. Many thought they were going to be a 3 or a 4. So I don't think there's any Bubba Cunningham conspiracy theories in that one, Jim.
I'm just wondering if that, because it's, trouble afoot.
Well, in your running theory here, Jim, anything that's of an issue is Bubba Cunningham's fault.
That's not my issue. I'm good.
You want to talk about the High State women, Jim?
Good job to them. Making the tournament. Big proud. Let's go. Super pumped. Somebody's got to talk about it. Because Columbus isn't.
Is Columbus talking about a High State not getting in?
Oh, yeah. Not in anger like Alex. Just disappointment. In the team.
Not in Bubba?
And this is the first I've heard of Bubba.
I understand you've been out of the game a little bit here, Jim, but Bubba has been all over all of the social feeds in the past 24 hours.
I've heard about it.
So, we've got that. So, congratulations, WU women, getting in. Way to go.
Let's go. Alex is super mad. I'm sorry, Alex. I got you this fired up.
I just need a minute to color my coloring book.
Okay.
Calm down. Because every time I talk now, I'm going to start yelling, and I need to let that pass.
Color your produce.
I'm not to the produce yet, because I got distracted by my yelling.
All right. So I really didn't have much else to talk about. I figured that we would cover a lot of time just with that, and I was proven correct. But yeah, we'll continue to talk about the basketball championships, both men and women, as we go out. But the big takeaway here is Alex is mad.
Big man.
Jim did a little bit too much poking of the bear, and everyone should get in our tourney challenges. That's my takeaway.
So where does Purdue fall? Is Purdue ever even near
Purdue is in the men's side or the women's side, Jim?
in the men's side?
They are, I believe, a 4 seed. So yes, they are in.
But where would they? Where do they fall against North Carolina?
Why does that matter?
I'm just trying to see if like he put these teams in a way, this Bubba man, in a way that benefited North Carolina.
North Carolina's in the play-in game. There's nothing that's beneficial about playing in the play-in game.
So what is screwing Michigan over? Like, okay, all right.
Bad seed, Jim. Bad seed. If you're the 3 or the 4, theoretically you have an easier path to the regional final and the
Maybe
final
he hates
four.
Michigan too, and if he screwed over WVU and hates Michigan, I'm really starting to like this Bubba guy.
Well, Ohio State's not in the tournament, so he officially screwed Ohio State too.
Ohio State screwed Ohio State.
I mean, Ohio State was in more of those 111 brackets than North Carolina was, Jim. So,
Thank you.
They did not play well all year.
all right. Let's move on to some NFL news. The Bengals have agreed to record deals, plural, making Jamar Chase the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL and T. Higgins the highest paid wide receiver 2 in the league, putting to rest the Bengals' second consecutive franchise tagging of Higgins this offseason. Chase's deal is worth 4-year, $161 million. Higgins signed a 4-year deal worth about $115 million. Do we believe this is money well spent, or could it have gone other places for the Bengals to be competitive now and into the future? Nate.
Definitely needs to go to the defensive side of the ball. I saw a stat earlier that said between these two new deals and Burrow's deal, that accounts for 44% of their cap.
Jim.
I don't know. I saw this, and like I looked at it, and I kept staring at it, and I kept going like, "What does this mean?" I'm shocked Cincinnati spent money. That's what I walked away from it with. Like, notoriously does not spend cash and spend a ton of it. I don't know.
What does this say for Hendrickson?
Find another team, bud.
Yeah,
It has to.
yeah.
Because to
I
pay
mean,
him.
he's still under contract, though. He's got to find a trade partner.
Yeah, but I'm saying the writing's on the wall that he's not getting an extension.
Mm-hmm.
All right, they're not doing anything this year for him. So either yes, he finds a trade partner, or he holds out for the money that they can't give him. Yeah, so this is money well spent in the short term, but in the long term, if the Bengals cannot be competitive in the next 2 years, I've got to imagine that this team's going to start imploding on itself.
Or is this one of those like we sign them now for this and we restructure like they do Mahomes?
I mean, you can. That's definitely an option, but I've got a feeling that wide receivers are going to be less open to that because
Right,
I think
so
they want to get the shorter lifetime of their career.
So they're gonna restructure Burrow every time,
That's an option.
right? It's wild. I literally, like I said, I stared at this. Was like, what is this? This is a lot.
Right, the Patriots got into this to some degree, right? They
Yeah.
kept kicking Brady's contract down the road, and we've seen that's done over the past 2 to 3 years.
Cincinnati's not doing that.
I agree. So if they're gonna go, they got to go now.
Like my
but I
faith in
agree
their ownership is not anywhere near Robert Kraft, and we all know about Robert Kraft.
He's got to travel. Maybe their owner needs to travel to Florida.
Yeah,
Get a
I think that's what happened. He traveled
Go
to
to-
Florida and lost his mind.
got to go to a massage parlor.
Yeah,
So we'll see. I agree with Nate, though. I think there are some defensive needs. I mean, the Bengals offensively last year, not a problem.
oh,
They
that
were in the
line
game.
could use some work.
If you can score 35 plus points a game, I think you can deal with whatever the O-line issues are.
Yeah, but Joey touched the dirt a lot still.
touch that, and that pay dirt too.
Yeah.
So, Alex, do you have anything to share? Have you calmed down? Is
I
there
have
smoke coming
calmed.
out of your ears?
I have calmed down some. No, I agree with what you guys said. I was actually watching something on the Sports Center a little bit about Trey Hendrickson, just like how he's on his 1 year and $14 million or whatever, and what same thing you guys are saying, writing on the wall.
Yep. Also, Cooper Kupp reached a 3-year, $45 million deal with the Seahawks, where Sam Darnold will be throwing him the ball. But is this maybe a last money grab to end Kupp's career? Let me get thoughts there, Alex.
Cooper Kupp has always been one of my favorite wide receivers in the league. I think he's good. I think he's fast. He gets a lot of catches. Um, so, but over time things change. So, could be, but I wish him luck.
Nate?
From what I saw too, they said this is kind of like a homecoming for him, going to Eastern Washington, being from the state of Washington. Now he gets to go play for Seattle, and now he gets to compete against his old team twice a year.
Jim?
I don't ever want to say it's the end of a career. Definitely needs to show out. Get on that Brady diet plan. Make him last
From what
forever.
I've heard, he has like some insane workout sessions.
Well,
Like
he
I
might
think
go
Puka
forever.
Nakua, I think Puka Nakua was quoted as saying, Cooper Kupp workout sessions were pretty much you go until somebody throws up, and it was never Cooper Kupp.
Nice.
So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of the last, if not the last contract for Cooper Kupp. So I'm glad he got a good deal out of it. It wasn't some, measly like $3 or $4 million a year. He got 15 mil a year out of it. So good for him on that. The Bills are getting Joey Bosa on a 1-year, $12.6 million deal.
I think this is amazing. I think
Amazing
it's a good
for Joey
fit.
Bosa, for
I think it's a
it's
good
good all
fit.
around.
I think it's a good amount of money for a 1-year deal. I think of all the things I've seen, I think this is the best outcome.
Yeah, I mean the Bills definitely can use the help. They got rid of Von Miller this offseason, so they're definitely looking to fill that void. So I agree. I agree with you, Jim. I think this is good for both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Nate, Alex, anything to add?
I think this is a kind of a surprise out of nowhere. I think there's a lot of speculation that Bosa was going to go play with his brother in San Fran.
Alex, thoughts?
No, I'm
Keep
good.
coloring.
I'm
Keep
good.
coloring. Got it. Next and last, at least for what I have in the NFL, Mason Rudolph is coming back to the Steelers. But who knows who QB1 is? Will it be Mason Rudolph? At this point, it is. We're going to see what comes out of this, but we did have some interaction on YouTube, specifically in a comment from someone who seemed to have a little bit of inside knowledge that Russ Wilson and DK Metcalf may be a little bit more than just the regular old teammates. This person shared that Russ introduced DK to his now fiance, and there may be even more of a reason the Steelers signed him to get DK in the door to hold on to Russ. This person also said there's no way Aaron Rodgers will be the Steelers quarterback next year. Alex.
Okay. Alex just had to step away for a minute. I don't know. I still think Rodgers goes to the Steelers.
I don't see it. I think Rodgers wants that win now. So of the teams he's been rumored to go to, I think he's still waiting and hoping Minnesota calls him. I mean, after the run Minnesota had last year with Darnold and they overachieved, I think he can kind of see, okay, I can go back to my old division, go to a place that's indoor. I don't have to play outside in the cold. I'm going to be 41, 42 years old. Just have to play outside at least once in Green Bay, once in Chicago. Well, and then Detroit, you're indoors. So I think he only ends up in Pittsburgh if the Vikings say no, because I don't think he's going to want to go to the Giants either.
Yeah, there's also speculation that retirement is still on the table. He doesn't have to
Yeah,
play.
I heard that too.
So, I mean, I think that would be the most unique and interesting outcome of all of this if he's like, yeah, you know what? I'm just done playing football. kind of ride off into the Aaron Rodgers sunset as he walks along the beach.
But what does that look like
What does that look like
for
aside
him?
from
Like,
Aaron
what is
Rodgers? Like the big
retirement?
picture here?
No, what is him like? What does his retirement look like?
A big puff of ayahuasca.
I just can't see like he's such an attention whore that I just can't see it. Like,
So if he does that, do you like back off of that at least initially that status, Jim? That attention whore
oh,
status?
for sure.
Right. Now who knows what happens after that? Does he find a media career and you get right back on that train, but initially you step off of it at least a little bit?
I just don't think he'll like. I don't think McAfee will let him live off of that. Like, I just don't see it. I think he'll have a recurring segment on McAfee at least. At the very
I would
least.
expect that. I would expect that as well, but that's not uncommon for everybody that's done stuff with them. They have people recurring guests all the time.
If he
But
doesn't run for like political office.
you're gonna toss that in there too?
I mean, I legitimately think so. And I'm not just trying to be,
Right.
controversial. I legitimately think I could see him getting involved in that because of just the way he operates.
We will see. I think. I mean, Rodgers is the next domino to fall. Right. I don't think anybody's going to be doing anything until people know where he's going, and then you're going to see the Russ Wilson situation fall into place. Is there anybody else left, like for quarterbacks, major quarterbacks, or are those two the only ones that really people are thinking about right now?
Those are the only two I can think of off the top of my head right now.
Yeah, they're at least major names. You probably have some people floating around, but not that you would expect to be starting.
And
Joe
I bet he
Flacco.
makes that decision at the draft. I was just sitting here thinking, like, we could get an announcement right before the draft starts that X team signs Aaron Rodgers.
We could.
I don't know. I
And-
think he's going to have to make that decision before the draft. Otherwise, these teams will be like, look, we're going to have to go with a young guy here because we're not going to sit around and wait for you.
Yeah, I think the teams are going to want to pressure him, but will he respond to that pressure?
That's what I
think that's-
mean.
Yeah.
I think the longer this goes, the more likely he is to retire.
I don't know.
We got to get a darkness retreat in. Anything else in the NFL? Anybody seen?
Cooper Rush signed with the Ravens.
Cooper Kush?
Mm-hmm. To back up Lamar.
That's, I will say, a step down in the backup situation, at least for that style of play they have in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
So let's hope.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, huh?
Yeah, let's hope for the Ravens' sake that he doesn't get hurt because that's a totally different offense they're trotting out there.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. In college football, in the offseason college football, Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, has said he wants the NCAA consider borrowing from the NFL model and allowing programs to practice and scrimmage against another team, specifically during the spring.
He's hot.
Well, I mean, he is in Colorado. He can do that.
Like he is on crack.
Well, Jim, he has a suitor. As Syracuse coach Fan Brown shared that they will come to Boulder for 3 days.
Also high. But that's the kind of team that would bite. You know what I mean? Like,
if we're talking about the hype train, the Colorado hype train, and the ability to monetize what they've got going on, you're going to get not just local coverage, you're going to get national coverage or something like that. And you can make a spectacle of it.
but you're also talking about teams that will they're not going to see the national title picture.
That's fine. You can make some money off of this and build the coffers in the offseason when you don't expect to. And so much you can charge more for the game, saying you're actually bringing in an opponent. I think this is the ultimate commercial move from Deion. I don't think it really helps their team at all.
Not one bit.
But from a exposure standpoint, I think it's A+ effort.
I think the spring game is a three-headed snake for all coaches between NIL, the transfer portal, and the spring game. I don't know how they manage that anymore. Because you got scouting, you got the transfers inside of that. You got injuries you have to worry about. That's where, like, if a kid plays the first series of the spring game, that's gonna piss off whoever that didn't play that first. You got all those egos now. You got parents in the stands that are upset because their kid didn't play in the spring game. It's just another opportunity to piss everybody off. And then you have to play another team. Like, you're opening yourself up for injuries, pissed off parents, that the media scrutiny, other teams scouting you. Like, I just don't understand how you even work that system.
And I think it takes away from the guys that are going to be depth guys on your roster.
Yeah.
Because you're going to limit the amount of exposure these guys get. Granted, you see them every day in practice, but you can only put 11 guys out there at one time. It's like, then how do you rotate it? Are you going to make this like a longer, like true timing of a game if you're bringing in an opponent versus you're doing like continuous running clock, or you say, oh, we're going to do so many series. Because at that point, yeah, you bring them in for 3 days and do a spring game. It's like, how much are you truly getting out of it?
That's why I think it was Lanning is a genius, because like it's a showcase. All right, so you're just gonna have live fire practice in front of the media? Cool. Because then everybody gets to be highlighted. Whereas Deion's idea of having a game is like, again, third on the depth chart. They ain't gonna be seen. I'm sure there's creative ways, and I'm probably selling Deion short because he's a genius, but
I think there definitely are options. I'm not going to say that it's going to be the same type of exposure, deep down the depth chart, but just the coaches can get together and say, here's how we're going to work through this. We're going to give the ones this many snaps. We're going to give the twos this many snaps. Like, they can work through it. And I don't think there are any specific parameters on the spring game aside from you have a spring game, right? I don't think there are rules of how you do it. Is just the fact that you do it. So they could make this an entire afternoon event.
But I think
there's got to be something in the NCAA like there is with like practice times. They probably can only play so many hours. Or whatever. They like cap it.
Right. But I think my bigger issue is, like, if you're in Columbus and out comes the threes, and let's say we're playing Michigan State, right? If threes against threes in Columbus and we look like shit, somebody's going to write an article wanting Ryan Day's head. Well, we played on the second part of the spring game, and my God, like, the world's falling. Like, Ryan Day's not going to set himself up for that.
That's why they're threes.
Welcome to Columbus. They don't give a shit. It's going to be, well, we're not ready for next year. Lots of question marks. It's going to be terrible.
Isn't that good?
No.
I'm not saying not good for Ryan Day, but it's good for the program. Like, you get the conversation. I mean, let's be honest, Jim. At the end of that Ohio State spring game, I don't think people are ever going to be all rainbows and butterflies. They're going to find something to bitch and moan about.
I guess.
Maybe a different type of bemoaning, but we'll see. We will see. The NCAA has agreed to permanently drop its rule that did prohibit athletes from negotiating the terms of name, image, and likeness until after they are enrolled in a school.
That just makes sense. They're doing it anyway. Why have a rule about it?
Right? I think this is just the NCAA catching up with what was already happening. Now they don't have to punish people for doing the things that they can't really punish them for doing anyway. But this does seem to be one of the latest domino to fall, and what we expect to see here in a few weeks with the House versus NCAA court case being resolved. So more to come on this. We're hoping that there's more money to come for UNLV, as their athletic director shares that they are unable to pay for the final 3 seasons of Dan Mullen's contract. But they're hoping they can raise the money through donations and increased revenue from football games.
That's just funny.
That's Vegas.
How do you commit to something like this without knowing you at least are good to go for most of the contract? The final 3 seasons.
Maybe they didn't think this contract would last this long. I don't know.
Let's talk about ways that ADs can improve their situation. This is a way to get right into the shitter. Do you think they can raise that money, guys?
No.
No. They need to partner with a casino.
They gotta go put it all in black and hope.
Well, no, they gotta go put it all in red, because aren't they red in their school colors?
You're right. That's probably a better thought. All right. All right, let's get into other interesting news in sports.
Interesting news in sports.
Alex got sick. We're going to trudge on, get through the rest of this. Jim worked him up into so much of a tizzy that Alex got sick.
That's what it was.
Whether or not that's true, that's the story we're going to tell the world.
Yep.
This is much like the Bubba Cunningham story. This is the story the world gets, believe it or not. First, in hockey, in addition to the Gretzky goal record that Alexander Ovechkin is chasing, he's also about 300 hits away from becoming the NHL's all-time hits leader. I don't think we're ever going to see another Ovechkin type in the NHL.
Not at all.
Only in the video games.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a video game. That's 100% sure. I saw this and I was like, no, there's no way.
I had to reread it. Even after you said it, I was like, what?
Right? He's getting nuts. Like the Gordie Howe hat trick at this point, aside from he doesn't have the assists to go with it.
Wow.
But somebody who does, lost in a lackluster season for the Penguins, Sidney Crosby is also trying to best a Waino record by averaging a point per game in the regular season for 20 NHL seasons. Wayne Gretzky did that for 19. He's like right on the cusp right now, but I think he had a couple good games, so I think he's in a good spot to take this one home within the final games of the regular season. So two Waino records may be following in one season.
Wow, that's great.
Is Columbus talking about the Blue Jackets, Jim?
A little bit. There's some buzz.
Just curious. They got what? Women's basketball and Blue Jackets hockey to talk about now. Is that what we get?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. In the golf world, Tiger Woods announced through social media that he has ruptured his Achilles and will be focusing on his recovery and rehab. This kind of pisses me off. Okay. I was looking forward to, at least from afar, seeing him at the Masters in the practice round tickets that I have for Tuesday. That will not be happening, at least on the course. I think he'll probably still be there for the Champions Dinner, but obviously I have no access to the Champions Dinner, so I was pretty bummed out about this. I'm not gonna lie.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. From the Tiger situation, do we think it's time for him to call it quits on the PGA Tour and play with the old dudes now?
Yes.
Or just maybe stop playing at all?
Nah, go rip it up on the Senior Tour.
Do TGL in the Senior Tour?
Hookers and blow.
I think he's dabbled at least in part of that one.
Tiger's is like the Tom Brady of golf because he's just not gonna go away.
Yeah. Aside from, in those final seasons, Tom Brady did have something to show for it.
Right. You watch Tiger make some ridiculous comeback and win the Masters next year or something.
He did it once, so it could happen again.
Can you imagine?
That would be pretty sweet. I think that would just be an
ultimate mic drop moment.
Yeah. You'd have to. I would retire at that point.
Yeah, you got to go out. You'd be like, I don't care that there's the rest of the season to play out. I'm done. In other golf news, Rory McIlroy beat out J.J. Spawn in a Monday playoff to win the Players' Championship at TPC Sawgrass in a 3-hole playoff. This is widely considered the first marquee event for the PGA in their season, and it's probably good that a big-name player like Rory won as follow-up to the Tiger news, and it will only help build anticipation and excitement for the Masters here in a few weeks. Cool. There you go, Rory. In the basketball world, the NBA is investigating the Oklahoma City Thunder for potentially violating the league's player participation policy, specifically their March 7th win over Portland, in which their entire starting five sat out the game. So we are going to review a team after they've won a game because they sat players.
And that's the NBA. In a nutshell.
The NBA is also investigating the 76ers, who ruled out 11 players for a recent game and could face a potential fine of $250,000 for their second violation of the policy. I don't know what else. I agree with Jim, and that's the NBA. I don't know what else we expect from such a player-driven league to toss down a mandate that star players play, and the only group that can be impacted negatively is the organization as a whole and not the player.
That's stupid.
So if I'm a player, sure, sit me out. Tell everybody I'm sick. Tell everybody I've got the flu. I had a temperature. If they investigate you and it's wrong, guess what? It's not me that gets fined. It's the team for allowing me not to play. What's a team going to do? Force somebody to play and then the next day they say, all right, trade me. Sorry.
I say anytime you're going to, quote, rest a player for a game, and then that's what you're calling it, you go to that game without pay.
I think the league is just stupid.
Yeah, it's the only league in America that they have this. Now, you can turn around and say, oh, well, baseball, the players have rest days. Yeah, but when you play 6 or 7 days in a row, yeah, you're going to need a break on your arm. You're going to need a break on your legs. Basketball, you're playing, 3 times a week usually?
Yeah. And even in baseball, right? It's not like everybody sits on the same day. I mean, Sundays you get that sometimes, I guess.
Yeah, it's a lot of Sunday afternoon games where you see some of the stars take a day off or something, or
Right.
a midweek game.
But pitchers don't sit out time in the rotation unless they're legitimately hurt.
Right.
So, yeah, this is it. And the NBA also recently handed the Utah Jazz a $100,000 fine for doing the same thing with Lauri Markkanen, who was made unavailable for a game. It hasn't played since February 22nd, has been dealing with back pain. So he missed 9 games in that span, and the fine was handed to the Jazz for not making the forward available for other games in that period. So, I mean, if you're going to miss 9 games and the NBA is going to get bent up about 1 within that period, then yeah, I think they've got bigger fish to fry in this whole situation.
Yeah, like I said, especially when you win.
Yeah, it's when I saw that I was like, okay, why are we not punishing Portland for losing to a team that had 5 starters out? Right,
Mhm.
I think Portland's the issue there, not the team that won with their backups. And lastly, in baseball, Nate, back on the diamond.
Yeah, first scrimmage is under the books, and the legs were jello.
Was it 11 innings? Were you behind the plate in all 11 innings?
Yeah, buddy.
We got Jello
Get
legs.
to about the 5th, going into the 6th inning, and home team coach goes, hey, do you guys mind sticking around for some junior varsity innings? And I'm like, yeah, sure. You're just going to pay us for it. And then we were going to actually switch positions, me and the other guy that were working. And then the next half inning, he's like, so I don't have my jock strap for my cups. So I'm like, all right.
And you can hear all jockstrap news here on Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff.
Nate, you in the wall sit time now, or are you just going to let this play out?
No. So I actually had a scrimmage the very next day. And that day, I fortunately was able to convince the guy to let me do the bases. So, legs feel good right now. Definitely do not recommend going and doing 3 hours and 20 minutes of up and down squats if you haven't done them in 8 months.
And there's your fitness tips for the week. Does anybody know when Major League Baseball starts?
By the time you're listening to this episode, you're already going to miss game 1.
Oh, dang.
So it's happening right now.
No, today, Tuesday, 6:10 a.m., the Cubs and the Dodgers are playing in the Tokyo series.
All right. Baseball started. Play ball. And as a reminder, you can play ball with all of us. Whatever you want, I guess. But we will be, as a reminder, at the Wheeling Island Casino, Racetrack, and Gaming Resort on Thursday, starting at around noon, to watch some basketball. Join us, loyal listeners. At least join most of the crew as Alex, Nate, hopefully Alex, Nate, and myself.
Yo.
We'll be there. Get into the tourney challenge. Get that link in the bio. Get into the link tree. Join the men's and women's up to 3 brackets per person. Free entry. Free prizes. It's free, free, free. And the only way that we're going to up the participation is if you tell a friend, make a friend, be a friend.